I'm super excited about this book, The 1619 Project, Born on the Water by Nikole Hannah-Jones and Renee Watson. So many of us know Renee Watson for all her wonderful middle grade and also chapter books. And it's illustrated by Nikkolas Smith. I didn't realize Renee Watson was part of this project. This is a picture book version, right? Because the 1619 Project, I think, is also an adult book. And so on the back the back cover, it says, "They say our people were born on the water, but our people had a home, a place, a land before they were sold." Okay, fantastic. So this is the kind of perfect story to learn about United States history. And so here the story is about a student receives a family tree assignment and can only trace back 3 generations. But grandma and the student go back 400 years when their ancestors were sold and brought to America by European enslavers, and sort of tracing their true history of where they lived and how they, survived and, in some ways, adapted to this life here. The lyrical verse is by Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Nikole Hannah-Jones, Newbery Honor-winning author Renee Watson, and so this is meant for readers to think about American identity, chronicling the consequences of slavery and the history of Black resistance in the United States. Sounds like, perfect for Black History Month, and just a very powerful story. And the kind of history that right now, when you see book banning and people throwing around critical race theory when they don't even actually maybe truly understand what it is, this is the kind of book that would be very intimidating to people who are uncomfortable with learning about American history that isn't, a whitewashed version. So we start off here where it's the assignment, and then grandmother is going to go back and go back in time to really kind of fill in the gaps from third generation previous to where they're actually from and what happened from when they lived in their own country. And in this case, they had a language, Kimbundu, and it was the kingdom of Nongo between the Lukala and the Kwanza rivers in West Central Africa. And here the illustration kind of shows you where. And you see the culture, and you see the life, and you see, the happiness and joy of they're living a happy, thriving life. But then, ours is no immigration story. They were stolen. And, I love how the illustrations really reflect the emotions and the actual story. With there's a real change of mood in the color scheme and then the drama. And, it's really powerful even if you just look at the illustrations, how it conveys what is happening. And once they have been enslaved, they go through that kind of the struggle, and also how resilient this family is. And she's talking about one in particular, their ancestors, Anthony and Isabella, enslaved on the plantation of Captain William Tucker and his wife, Mary Tucker, and how they resisted and how they survived and, thrived. It's sort of like it was the most difficult journey you know, this 400 plus year history was, you know, certainly a dark chapter in American history, but also, despite that, what they accomplished, writing songs, creating jazz and hip hop, rhythm and blues, and also becoming athletes, inventors, nurses, cooks, pilots, architects, scientists. I mean, honestly, you know, our U.S. history isn't ever noting the achievements of Black history. There's just not, you know, it's very, like a fraction of actually what African Americans have achieved in this country, as, you know, in STEM, for example. And then it ends with, you know, and I think this whole thing about knowing your history and then being able to be proud of who you are because you know your history. And so that, I think that's the whole point of this story, is to sort of shed light into the history of, you know, of people whose histories have been stolen and erased. And so I don't know, you know, why that's so intimidating, you know, except that, you know, people don't want to. I mean, it's almost like they want to say, like, oh, slavery didn't exist. But of course, they're not even saying that. People who are trying to deny critical race theory, which seems like they're one step away from that, frankly, but they're not, you know. But this just tells you, you know, this is, you know, obviously they lived a life in a country and existed before they were enslaved, and it just fills in those gaps, you know. It's like you can't erase it. I mean, it doesn't even make sense if you said, you know, they only existed 3 generations back. I mean, obviously, right? That's just crazy. So anyway, this does a really great job of giving everyone origin story that's accurate, you know, and something to be, you know, to anchor, I guess, anchor one's history, and be proud of it. And also for those of us who aren't African American, just to be informed, right? So anyway, this is a wonderful book. It's incredible that they're able to bring it down to a picture book level, so it's accessible to a wide age range. Thank you to Nikkolas, an imprint of Penguin Random House. And, you know, I would say this is for ages, I would say like, I don't know, 6 and up maybe? I'll look up the actual age group, but I feel like 6 and up seems pretty solid. All right, so thank you for watching, and thank you again for this book.